So, hi, how you doing? I am finally catching up on Westworld Season 3. I was able to find it in the library. A library that's actually open. The one closest to me hasn't been open since all the pandemic, and now they're remodeling, so who knows when that's going to happen. But there's an interesting thing that they're doing with this. And so, it's more out in the sort of they're not in the parks as much. So like Dolores and other people are out in the sort of regular world, and it's in the future, obviously. But they have it where there's like this ultimate supercomputer sort of AI algorithm monster sort of thing. Not a monster as in, Godzilla, Frankenstein monster sort of thing, but it's this huge sort of thing that is basically kind of controlling people's lives to a certain extent. So this technology, this AI technology, that's pulling data off of social media, off of job histories, school histories. It's mining every single piece of data that it can, and it's using its algorithms to basically sort of predict your future. And in doing so, it can it's almost creating a um, again, I had the words and I just lost it. Self-fulfilling prophecy. It's fulfilling almost like these self-fulfilling prophecies for you. It's kind of that thing where if you think you can't do something and then you don't do it, you're like, see, I couldn't get it done. So the one guy, the Aaron Paul's character, Caleb, um, is I'm not going to get into my feelings about all that or anything, but basically it was this algorithm predicted because of his mother's mental illness, his service record, um, and sort of violent past with um, not only being in the military, but having been sort of abandoned by his mom at this other. It predicted that in 10 to 12 years from when the show that this season starts, he was going to kill himself. So every time he tries to go get a job, everything he tries to do to further himself, to better himself, it gets shut down because everything's going off of this algorithm and no one's going to take a chance on someone who's like, oh, well, he's going to kill himself in a decade or more. So why should we even bother? So it becomes a self-fulfilling thing because if he could, you know, you know, there's one job he goes in kind of for an interview for, and they're like, your resume is impressive, but no. And of course, it's an AI that he's talking to with this because the algorithm basically says, well, if he's going to kill himself, don't bother. But if he could have gotten his job, that could have literally turned his life around. He could actually work more on his PTSD. He doesn't have to keep getting involved in some of the sort of nefarious criminal activities that he's kind of getting involved with and everything else like that. He wouldn't have to do that if he could get this other job and move up and make this a better life for himself. So maybe he wouldn't do that. That would change his future and everything. But because this algorithm is like a gatekeeper to everyone's lives. So it's the same thing as with some of these like academics and people who are running these colleges or something who, when there's like a new idea or something in science that is being studied and there's valid and reliable results and testing for it and people want money for testing for it, the colleges and universities and some of these academics and some of these scientific gatekeepers say no, because we know better. We know this isn't what it is. So this is fringe science, it's frou-frou, it's woo-woo. No, absolutely not. 10, 20 years later, it turns out, oh, by the way, this was right. And we would have known this and been able to further our knowledge more if you people hadn't been gatekeeping, arrogant, egomaniac pricks about it. The whole thing we know, the dinosaurs, and the comet destruction of the dinosaurs and the diamond dust and everything. Well, the Alvarezes, the father and son team of Alvarezes, they were basically kind of shunted to the side for a long time because everything had to be gradualism. Because there's a disaster in the Bible, that now means that there can never be any disasters in the whole world. and everything has to be in a very linear, gradual sense. So the dinosaurs died out in a very linear, gradual sense. There was no disaster. Well, we proved that wrong. And our sum total of human knowledge could have been greater if we would have been able to be like, oh, well, this makes sense. Let's put some money and effort into this beforehand as opposed to waiting. But we can't do that. So it's the same thing here. If people are able to actually have a little bit more freedom and free will over their decisions, as opposed to everything running off of this sort of soulless algorithm, then people would be able to make different decisions for myself. And the mirror they have with those of us who would be in, the outside world, the wider world outside of the Westworld parks or the War World or any of the little Delos parks, is the parallel is very distinct because the robots, androids or whatever you're going to call them in these Delos parks, in these blank worlds like Westworld, they have a certain set number of choices that they can make, and their lives get reset every day. And they get killed, they get wiped off and put right back into the same sort of humiliation and death and problems and all this other stuff that go on at these parks all day, every day, and everything. So the androids in the parks, especially before they're able to break their conditioning and break their things and get free will. Am I leaning or something wrong with my arms? And get their free will, really no different than in these closed environments built by people, are no different than people in the outside world who are now being forced almost into more closed environments and are only given free will within a certain range of choices because this algorithm is telling them you can't do anything else. So man is creating machine, treating machine a certain way. Man created a machine, and that machine is treating man in the same way that man is treating the machine. So the mirror of the two worlds with that is really interesting to me, because it was the first two seasons I enjoyed, and the second season really got me in a lot of emotional feels and some things. And now they're exploding out into the real world, and it's sort of like, where is this going to go? How are you going to do this? And having that mirror, and then having like Dolores come in and try and wipe all that out, and whatever path she's going to go through to kind of see who she's going to be and what she's going to do, and how many parallels she's going to see in the real world to the world she lived in and broke free out of and destroyed. How is that, is this going to be just the same thing again and again? So it is almost sort of like that Battlestar Galactica thing. All of this has happened before, and all this will happen again. There seems to be like this almost like, of course, the 2004 modern Battlestar Galactica, not the original. One of the only times I'm ever going to really say skip the original and go to the reboot, because the reboot is fantastic. And the reboot pulled in a lot of stuff from the show and folded the show into the original show into its canon, basically. But also fed in the skin jobs, the people looking models, and their inspiration was Blade Runner. Which was funny because Edward James Olmos was in both, and Edward James Olmos has even said he thinks in his mind, basically, that his character in Blade Runner is actually an ancestor of his William Adama in the show, and that Blade Runner and their use of like the skin jobs sort of thing was like that sort of cycle, and building in and working with Cylons and the skin jobs in with that too. And I'm seeing parallels, especially now when we're dealing with like this ultimate AI supercomputer thing, and talking about free will, and talking about the similarities between the androids and the people world and the closed system of these Westworld or other world parks, and then the increasingly more closed system in the real world. And what's really interesting is that given everything going on in the pandemic, confirmation bias abounds all over the damn place, on all sides. Social media, and the um, like other censorship of things, and media's sort of bullshit, half-assed scare tactics and views on things and stuff. Again, on both sides, everyone's doing it, and that sort of thing. It's certain on certain levels, it's taking away a certain freedom of choice. It's taking away a certain amount of free will, because if all you have is the choice between five news stations, and like one or two are militant one side and the other ones are you know kind of militant the other side, and everyone's talking about they're fair and balanced, but no, you're not, but we are, and everything. What choice do you really have? It's we have a two, a bicameral. Oh no, that would be for the houses, but we have a two party system in the United States. And then when you have one, when you have what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders, and the Democrats seem incapable of being able to make change, because they're trying to do all this other stuff with the Republicans, what real difference is there? You got a lot of people and a lot of stuff that's going on, and like some of the Democratic administrations, that's really no different than some of the Republican administrations. And then all of a sudden you get Trump in there, and what a fun party that was. But now people who might be being considered unreasonable or suspect because they're not Trump, all of a sudden now they're angels. They can do no wrong. They're brilliant fucking saviors of the world just because they're not Trump. And if everyone, and if, the Fox News thing is saying this, and everyone who's watching it has this encapsulated mess, and everyone else is saying, you're wrong. And believe me, I'm not a fan of Fox News, and they're insane. But now we have that tribalism, and where it's, if you're not with me, you're against me. If you're not complete lockstep in everything that this one side is saying, then everything that you're saying is wrong, and you're with them. And both sides are doing that to each other. And it's the same thing with this show and everything, which is interesting because, again, art imitating life. If you're kind of not with this, then you're like this. But it's really mirroring each other with it. The disgusting dis-ease of the system here that's closed is really no different than the disgusting diseased system that seems much bigger, but really is under pretty much the same amount of constrictions. There we go, constrictions, as the ones in the smaller thing. So it was this was almost a laboratory experiment to what's really going on in the real world, as opposed to something where it's just the people who can afford to go there are, living out some horrible fantasy of just sick, twisted bastard sort of stuff. Well, it's really not much. It's the same, as opposed to an escapism. It's really the same out here too. So I'm not finished watching the season yet. It was just sort of an interesting parallel in show and to the real world of those of us watching it as well. It's just interesting sort of parallel. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all the good YouTubey stuff. Appreciate it. Just some thoughts on that. Thanks. Bye.